All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. And on today's episode, we will be discussing the Avs 5-3 win over the New York Islanders. We'll also take a look at, like we said, after each game, we're going to kind of look at the players that could be on the trading block. Did they help their cause? Did they hurt their cause? Did they not really do anything at all? So we'll talk about that. And I want to know, in Jack Johnson's 1,000th game, he got a nice jersey with the number 1,000. Everybody signed it. You and I have watched probably 5,000 games. Where's our 5,000 jerseys signed by every Avalanche player ever in the What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. And yeah, we will be talking about the Avalanche 5-3 victory over the New York Islanders. Was not easy, yet another come-from-behind victory. We will be discussing that. We will get to our sound checks, which summarize, or songs that we feel summarize the action against the Islanders, and discuss the players that were kind of on the trading block, or we think are on the trading block. And after each game, we'll kind of discuss, did they help their cause in not getting traded? Did they hurt their cause in maybe getting traded? Or are they still kind of like towing that line? So we'll get to all of that. But first things first, follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow the show on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe and get notified when a new show goes live. And of course, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. So yeah, man, I said in the opening for YouTube, where's our 5,000 games watched jersey signed by every single Avalanche player in the history of the... I want that. Where's
I know I filled out my change of address form. It should be here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you had to update your cred, so it should be in the mail, just like your Built Bar got in the mail today. Hey, we'll get to that later. But yeah, 5-3 win, tough, a tough victory, and I think a lot of people just look at this Islanders team and think that they're just they're bottom feeding this year. But they just got off to a they had a tough stretch thrown at them to start this season because their arena wasn't done.
Yeah.
And I think they opened up with what? It's like 15 road games in a row.
Yeah.
Because their arena wasn't ready. Like, that's not ideal.
No.
And they just couldn't recover from it. They are playing better. I talked to Gil a lot. Gil hosts Locked On Islanders. And he feels like they're playing better. It's just too little too late. They're not going to be making the playoff run. But it didn't surprise me that the Islanders were in this thing for most of the game.
Yeah, it's the way this Islanders team is constructed. I mean, when you got Trotz at the helm, you know what you're getting. And it's that grinds you to death, slow, boring hockey. And the Avalanche, with that little mixture, they've always been weird, exciting games with the Islanders. So this was to be expected, and this was without some big names for the Islanders, and you didn't see Varlamov in the net either. So if the Islanders can do this to you, what are they going to do next week when we play them again?
Yeah, and yeah, Chara was out. I think upper body injury. Who else was out? Matthew Barzal was also out.
Matt Martin.
Yeah, and then for the Avalanche, Nichushkin was out. That was pretty close to game time, too, where they announced that he was out with a upper body injury. So we'll have to see. I did see that Bednar said after the game that he's day-to-day. So it's not a week-to-week, or it's not indeterminate. So maybe he's back out there Thursday against Arizona. So we'll see on that. But it was Jack Johnson's 1,000th game. That was a nice ceremony pregame. They gave him, top billing on the opening defensive pairing to kind of get that out of the way, which is always nice to see. And then, they got right to it, and the Avs looked good early on. And what like you said, that the Islanders play kind of like that slow grinding game. I thought they played a little bit more up tempo than they normally do. And what I was impressed by them, and they didn't score on any of them, I don't believe. No, they were 0 for 2 on their power plays. I hope the Avalanche were paying attention on how
Yes.
they should run a power play.
Yeah.
Because the Islanders whip that thing around, where the Avalanche like to bring it over to Mikko, who hangs on to it for way too long, in my opinion. Like he looks for that perfect pass. And when you're that good at passing, I get it. But the defenders don't have to move too much when the Avalanche have a power play. And while the Islanders didn't score, especially that first one, they don't hold the puck for more than like 2 seconds, and it is off to somebody else. Not necessarily a person that has a look, but they're going to create looks in doing that. And I was hoping and praying the Avalanche were watching that. And you want to know something? I think maybe they were.
Yeah.
Because it did get a little bit better. I noticed that it got like the Landeskog one was ridiculous, that he just banked off a goalie. But what were they? 1 for 3 on the day?
Yeah, that brings us up to 3 for 33.
I mean, you got to start somewhere. When maybe this is the game where you start. But
yeah.
Again, another game where the Avs had to come back. They were down. I had no issues with the way that they were playing. And the Islanders, is that, that's just when you use the phrase, that's hockey. They seem to just get a lead, and you're like, is this going to be one of those games that the Avalanche can't pull out? Even though I thought they were playing relatively well, clearly they pulled it out.
Yeah, and it's those goals that the Islanders did happen to net. It's just defensive lapses, and the Avalanche are learning this lesson real quick, that you can't play just kind of in cruise control and expect to win night in, night out. Teams will make you pay for those mistakes. And you see that they just tighten it up later in the game, and third period they didn't get anything, and the Avalanche put 3 in. So you got to play 60 minutes of hockey. That's just how it is. You can't just roll in there with your name and expect to walk out with a W. You gotta play the game.
And the way it started for the Avs, they were smoking. They were on fire. And Nathan McKinnon was everywhere.
Yes.
He looked fantastic. And then he got that goal. It was kind of a freakish play. Like, Makar had control of the puck, but he kind of lost it. It just happened to go the way of Nathan McKinnon, who kind of just shot. He was going in one direction. He does that all the time, and nobody does it better than him. Where he's kind of going in one direction and shoots the opposite way over the goalie's shoulder. It's a thing of beauty when he does that. And to start off that way, yeah, you're hot. Things are clicking. And yeah, you're right. I don't want to say that the Avs, they don't take the foot off the gas, but I think cruise control is the right word.
Yeah,
for that.
They know what they have to do, and they go in expecting that. But you have to play like that first shift that we had against Detroit. You've got to start games that way, and the defense, they kind of sleep. Well, they're kind of older now, so I mean, it takes them a minute.
Yeah.
But teams like the Islanders will make you pay for that. So you tighten it up, you get your legs under you about second period, midway through, and then you tighten up and you win the game.
I mean, if you want to go into cruise control, do it when you're up 3-0.
Exactly.
Don't do it when you're up 1-0 and you've got a goal in the first 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So I thought the Avs struggled to really keep pace with New York in the second. That was all Islanders in the second, and I thought that they, the Avs needed to come out and match that energy, and boy did they in the third. So we'll get to that in a split second here, but we want to talk about Built Bar first. Kyle has received his Built Bar Puffs.
I have indeed, and
we'll get a firsthand review from him. Are they amazing or are they not?
They are absolutely incredible. I'm not going to lie. They are. I got the churro, the banana cream pie, and the coconut, and they are absolutely incredible.
And what did you say to me before we started that you this is the first time you've had the puffs, and you will not go back to the original Built Bar? Like, the puffs are your jam right now.
They are, like, the texture, everything about it, like, that is exactly what you want. And when you see what you're getting out of these puffs, like when it comes to protein and the calorie count, like, you're not touching a lot of things. Like, if I'm going to go puffs for a lot of things in my life now.
It's like you're floating on a cloud when you're a Built Bar puff. So, I mean, if that doesn't make you move over to built.com to want to try out these Built Bar Puffs, I don't know what will. Like Kyle said, they're healthy too. It's not just like a candy bar that's terrible for you. They are healthy. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, 17 grams of protein. So go to built.com right now. Use the promo code LOCKED15 and you'll get 15% off of your order. Once again, that promo code is LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. So like I said, the Islanders really had the Avalanche number in the second. And it's not to say the Avs didn't have chances. I thought, the way that the Islanders play, they try to play like a lockdown D. But when you have a team that's like the Avalanche that just knows how to score, it's going to be tough to shut them down for the duration of a game. And, and they didn't have Chara. I get that. And he's not the make or break at his stage in his career, but he's still an opposing force.
Yeah.
At 7'20". But so the Avalanche managed to get 43 shots on goal.
Yeah.
On the Islanders, which is a lot. And a lot of those came. Let me see what they had in the third, because they were just peppering them in the third. They had
21. Yep.
21-10. And it showed. And with the Avs, you could tell were not happy about going into the second intermission down to this team. And I would have loved to know what was said. And it could have been one of those things where it was this, an angry Jared Bednar or a very calm Jared Bednar says, guys, like all he has to say is just stare at them and go, really?
Come on, guys.
Really?
Yeah.
And then they just came out and they were, that is what you want to see. That's what we were saying in the first segment, and how you were saying how they came out against Detroit. The very first shift in Detroit, those first couple shifts in the third, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And the Islanders were on their heels. And then again, you got to give credit to the Islanders for coming back again. And we had a little bit of controversy here with a late Islanders goal. I say late, I think there was like 8 minutes left when this happened. And it was called a goal. It was called a goal. It was close. They went back and reviewed it, and they reversed it. What do you think? You think they got this right? You think they got this wrong?
I don't know.
Unbiased opinion.
I don't know. I honestly felt like it was a goal.
Here's my problem. I love the Altitude Network. I think they do a great job. When you have a questionable call like that and the puck is riding on the goal line, give me the goal cam first.
Yeah.
I don't want to see all of these other camera angles where that a player is blocking it, and give me the inside the goal camera first, give me above the camera second, and then give me all the different angles.
Yeah.
And they showed the inside the goal cam one time.
Yeah.
And it was like the third or fourth angle that they showed. And when they showed it, like it jumped a little bit. The camera, like when they were showing the replay, and it was right when you were the next frame, when you were going to see if the puck continued to go in or it was knocked out. So I agree with you. Like, because they didn't give us great looks on the replays, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I can't, and I want to talk to Gil because he was probably watching the MSG feed. Maybe they showed it differently, but it was driving me crazy. If you have a iffy goal, please show the inside the goal. That is the best angle you are ever going to have. And they showed it one time.
Yeah. And I think, and I mentioned the man 100,000 times on this show, and I will until the day I die. Peter McNabb is a national treasure because he will first say what fans think, and then he'll be like, oh, I don't know about that. Yeah. And when Pete says it, you listen, because I think he saw something that we all should have saw, and we didn't get the chance. And I felt like there was daylight with that puck on its edge.
It's so tough. Like when the camera angles that are outside the net, it might have looked like that because the puck was, it jumped up a little bit when it's jumping up and down and on its side, but you can't tell where it is. That's where you need to look straight down. And on that, It is so the minutia of it all is what comes into play here. And I don't know. I got to go back and look at it because we were recording right after the game. Obviously, I want to go see some official. I want to see the official wording. I want to see those goal cams. I got to see more of it. But from right now, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer. I can't tell you one way or another.
But see, you say that, and by the letter of the law, if it's called a goal and you don't know, you go by what was called.
Well, that's because I can only go on the camera angles that we saw.
Yeah.
The refs are probably looking at the in-goal cam 20 times before they call it. So,
but if it's right there, like if it's bouncing on its side and you can barely get an idea, if the refs even have to sit there and really debate, you go goal on the ice. And if I'm seeing all these angles and I'm like still saying that's probably a goal, you should.
And the thing is that the refs came to a conclusion relatively
quick.
So that kind of tells you for them it was pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
It doesn't really say like they, if they're agonizing over it, that would have went a little bit longer. It didn't. So that kind of makes me think like they admit they got it wrong and they reversed it. Gil does not agree. I saw his tweet. Yeah. And I do. I think, on MSG they maybe threw up some different angles more consistently. Because he seemed pretty set in it. And Gil is an honest dude.
Yeah.
He is not, a homer if he'll call it like he sees it. So he seems to think that was in. I'll talk to him afterwards, too, and see if he had a definite view of it. But it was reversed. And then what happens? What is it? A minute or two later, you get the Burakovsky goal.
Yeah.
So the Avs are down, gets reversed, goes back to being tied, and then you get the Burakovsky goal. For the Avalanche to go back up. And here he is again, man.
Yeah.
Andre Burakovsky now has 3 goals in 3 games. He had a goal and an assist tonight, or last night, I should say at this point. Started on the top line again, although he did not stay there. When the Avs needed a jump start, the big 3 got back together again and stayed there for the remainder of the game. So I don't think it was that Burakovsky was playing poorly why he went back to his second line. It was when you're down, you put that line back together. And that's what Bednar did. But Burakovsky, this is his MO. This is what we get from him. Hot and cold. And right now he's hot. You ride that as long as you can.
Berkey, thank you for listening to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Thank you for stepping up and knowing you're on the trade block. Thank you for making me eat crow for 3 games. But now we won't hear from you again until March 21st. So
but it's legit. It's like, okay, like we're behind you when you're hot. We're behind you when you're doing poor because we want to see you do well. But that we don't want you to have these 17 game goalless droughts, dude.
Yeah,
we can't have that.
And we mentioned that when we talk about him, we only talk about him like this because we know his potential. We've seen him play like this many, many times, and his scoring ability is, it's top line talent when it comes to his scoring ability. It's just when he believes in himself, he can do it. But when he starts to doubt himself, he gets in his mind and then starts firing the puck everywhere, and then really just keeps doubling down on itself, and then he gets in a slump. Yeah. And it's a good thing that he's out of it. For how long, though?
Yeah, he had 5 shots on goal, which was tied for tops with Nathan McKinnon and somebody else. Oh, Devon Taves. 3-point night for him. What a night for him. 1 goal, 2 assists against his former club. He looked great. You had Cale Makar with 2 assists on the night. He extends his point streak to 9 games. It's all those points are through assists, but so what? He continues to provide offensively while being great defensively. Then you got your Curtis Mcdermott, 2 minutes and 37 seconds of ice time, which doesn't surprise me. You know what I mean? When you're struggling and I don't want to say the Avs were struggling. When they're struggling to get a lead and maintain a lead, you're not going to put him out there. You're not going to. It's just not going to happen.
You send him out there and he sees that Dano Chara's not out there. You're like, well, never mind. You don't need to start tonight.
If you, So yeah, they had him in.
He skates out there, he
They're
looks
like,
at the bench, and he's like, "Oh, never mind."
Whoops. Sorry. Can we make a late check line change?
And
here?
I wonder if Zdeno Chara not being in a lineup helped add to the Islanders having that little bit of an up-tempo style.
Good point.
Because he's typically not that type of player, and I wonder if this Islanders team, when we see them next week, will they be a little bit slower?
Because he's back. If he is back, well, I mean, that's like yin and yang. Because Chara is slow. Matthew Barzal is
not
a speed demon. So you get kind of two worlds there. So it might be, if they're both back, it would be a different game, I think. So we'll have to wait a week, which I'll be there for that. Can't wait.
That's right. You will.
Hey-o. All right. Let's we're just going to do a pause here for if we have any other. I don't have to read anymore. I don't think I have any. No, we don't have any more. No. So we'll just move right on. All right. We got our sound check of the day, and then we will get to helped or hurt. What do we got? So sound checks for the songs that summarize the action against the New York Islanders. Kyle Sullivan, take it away.
This was the Avalanche 40th win of the season.
Okay.
So naturally, we have to go 40-1. Okay. Nope. 40-1 by a band I love to death. And most of their songs have to do with like battles and war. Very great band.
Sabaton, baby. Yes. Oh my God.
40-1. Man. Love them. Primo Victoria is probably one of my favorite songs.
Oh my God. Yeah. I when you said 40, I thought you were going UB40.
Oh no.
What's that song? Ghost Division by Sabaton is like, dude. That is like, that should be on like intro music to every like hockey arena, like in the NHL. That gets people pumped, man. That song is great.
If you've never checked out the band, you absolutely must check out at least 40-1, Ghost Division, Primo Victoria.
And I would say even go check out like their live, because their live concerts. That lead singer, I mean, number one, he's like jacked, and he's always wearing like Kevlar and stuff. And he doesn't stop like for the duration of a show. Like he gets a workout in during a concert. But
they're this generation's Man-O-War.
Yes. Yeah. But great pick. Love those guys. For me, I'm going the Avalanche with another come from behind victory. I think this is like their 18th of the season. So I'm going to go with this song because the opening lyric is "Don't Call It a Comeback."
Hey,
and that is "Mama Said Knock You Out" by the one and only LL Cool J. What I'm going to put up is a cover version of it, which I love, by a super group that lasted a couple albums. It was Boots Riley and it was Tom Morello on guitar, and the name of the group was the Street Sweeper Social Club. So
that's a sick name.
I'll put that one up. And the funny thing about that is they were called Street Sweeper, but there's already a metal band called Street Sweeper, so they had to change it, and they just added the Social Club at the end. So I mean, why not? So yeah, don't call it a comeback, because this is what the Avalanche do.
I'm going to have to check out that cover when it hits the Spotify playlist, because Tom Morello covering that.
It's nuts. Yeah. Oh, he gets his like wailing going. And stuff. Yeah. It's awesome. So, like Kyle said, if you're on Spotify, go follow that, because we add these the morning after to the LOPN sound check Spotify playlist, and you can follow along. And then I love it because people on YouTube always throw theirs out.
Yes.
The other day when I had the Audio Slave song that was Exploder, someone else put up Eruption. I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like people are liking this and kind of throwing their own out there, which I absolutely love. So
it's the best.
Kudos. All right. Because we're in March and we're kind of in the midst of the trade season, what we've been doing is after a game kind of looking back, and the players that we kind of think are on the verge of possibly being traded, kind of on that trading block. On the previous game, did they help their cause with staying with the Avalanche? Did they hurt their cause of maybe being included in a deal, or did they do neither of those? And the three that we talk about clearly are Tyson Jost, JT Compher, and we have been throwing Andre Burakovsky in there because he was on a bad roll. But we'll start with him. Clearly, he has helped himself, not just yesterday, but in his past few games. You could say, you can still say you can go either way with him because, yeah, he's played well the past few games when they brought him up to the top line and he's scored some goals finally. But that also makes his value go up even more. So what do you do if you're the Avs?
That's a fantastic point. I was like, we talked about diminishing your trade value. Berkey, knowing what like his streaky play, this might be a blessing and a curse because you're playing good enough that GMs and scouts are looking at you and saying, wow, 3 goals in 3 games. That's great. We will put you in this package. Like, it's not good enough to stay with the Avalanche because what if in the Arizona game on Thursday, what if he goes back to no points and then it continues on and then he diminishes back to the role we assume? Is this just good enough to boost your value where you are a part of a package? Because if we talk about the other 2 names in it, you've hurt yourself to where you're going to be just kind of with us.
Yeah, and and teams have done their homework. It's not like they're just going off of what have you done for me lately, but they are looking at what have you done for me lately,
Yeah.
So, and for him, it'll be interesting. I don't really think Andre Burakovsky is going anywhere. I don't. But if a package came along that was too good to refuse and the team wanted him, I think the Avs would entertain it at least.
Yeah.
It's night and day when Andre Burakovsky goes up on that top line, which is no secret. His Corsi 4, and again, that is all shots thrown on net, missed, blocked, shots on goal was 29. So his unit had 29 shots on goal, or no, I shouldn't say that, shots. But his Corsi against was 23. So they also gave up a lot. And the Fenwick, which does not count blocked shots, his Fenwick 4 was 22. His against was 17. So it's almost a 50-50 split, which isn't horrible. Yeah. It's above 50. But you would like, when you're the top line, you would like to see that space out a little bit more, especially when you're the top line on home ice, when you have last change.
Yep.
You would like to see that a little bit more. And then we'll get to the other 2. We'll start with JT Compher. How do you think he did?
Was he even there? JT, I saw him maybe 2 or 3 times, and he was on a very good, notable shift of the game. But he's been, we've tracked him for a while where, like, yes, he's finally scored, but out of the 3, he's really not doing anything for me.
Had 1 shot on goal. He was a -1 on the day. Had almost 18 minutes of ice time. But you know where he excelled? Where we struggle the most, on faceoffs. He won 67% of his faceoffs.
You know who also wins faceoffs? Claude Giroux.
Yeah, he does. He does. Played, sir. So for Corsi and Fenwick for him, 14 Corsi 4, 16 Corsi against. So teams are getting more shots than they are taking when he's on the ice. And then this is where Fenwick comes into play. Some people like that more because it doesn't count block shots. He was actually 1 above. So he had Fenwick 4, 13 against 12. So not horrible. Then you get to Tyson Jost, and he's kind of even too. He was for the Corsi, he was 9-4, 10 against, and Fenwick 8-4, 9 against. So, but the third line, which consisted of Compher, Newhook, and Jost, so both of those guys were on the same line tonight. No, I'm sorry, Newhook went up to the second line. Because,
he did. He did.
So who was on the? I think it was Kubel. Was it
Abe Kubel?
Yeah, there was a shift that those guys had that was spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the puck in the zone, maybe a minute and a half. It might have been longer than that.
Yeah.
And I was just wishing into existence a goal for them because they did everything. And there was even times, and it helped because the defensive guys on the unit for that, the defense unit guys on the ice, I should say, if I can get that out right, I believe I think it was McCarr and Johnson for some reason were on. And they held the puck in a couple times, so that obviously helped. But holy man, like that shift really stuck out. And you got to give them credit for doing that with Jost and Compher. So, but what do we got for for Jost in terms of time on ice? He had over 13 minutes, which has been a lot more for him.
Yeah.
Because he's been down in the single. He's had like 5-6 minutes of ice time, but they needed him tonight with
Nuke,
with Nuke out, so they put him up on the third line. So he had played a few more minutes. So I don't know. Did he help or hurt? I don't really think he did much of anything.
Yeah, I think both Compher and Jost it's a mute point. They really didn't do. And you know what? I'm honestly, when we're doing this help or hurt, I hate having to summarize Jost and Compher as, well, they didn't hurt, or like just a very neutral, like that's not what you want from your third or fourth line. I'd rather you make a mistake and something you can work on than just go out there and just take up minutes and have goose eggs in every stat column.
Yeah. It was not Abe Kubel who was their line mate. It was Logan O'Connor. So it was Logan O'Connor, Jost, and Compher. And believe it or not, Logan O'Connor had the least amount of ice time between those three at 12 minutes, 26 seconds. He is kind of disappearing a little bit.
Abe Kubel I'm worried about him now. He started out great, and Abe Kubel is very quiet, he disappears, and lines 3 and 4 are an issue, and we talk about this, who helps and hurts, because we need to improve lines 3 and 4 when the trade deadline comes up, because nothing is happening on lines 3 and 4.
Yeah, I mean, Abe Kubel's gone quiet, Logan O'Connor's gone quiet, and those are guys that you were really relying on early in the year. I don't want to say relying on; they were just giving you great play, and it's kind of gone quiet a little bit. So when I saw that, like, that could be a very good line with Compher, O'Connor, and Jost. It could be a very good line.
It's
just not really producing all that much. Let me see what they had.
I mean, Jost plays so well with McKinnon when he gets that chance. Like, just cross your eyes. Logan O'Connor's almost there. Just pretend.
Yeah.
It'll be a blurry Nathan McKinnon out there, but it's O'Connor.
I mean, total, they had 3 shots on goal. Jost did not have any.
Yeah.
No shots on goal, and he's a workaholic, obviously, but tough. So, all right. That'll pretty much wrap it up for today. So we have there's no game tomorrow, and then we are back on it. I want to say, avenge that loss to Arizona, because they ended the home winning streak. So we have to kind of stick it to them on their home ice. So
their home ice for now.
They don't have home ice for the next 10 years. So
no,
they feel bad for them. I do. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for today. Definitely check us out on our social media pages. And thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Like always, it's appreciated. Go check out Locked On NHL and make that your second listen of the day. Get caught up on everything going on around the league. For now, he is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow.